Hello friends, welcome to my February book haul. We're in a slightly different filming location than normal because I wanted to be able to sit on the floor because I have a lot of books. And also my normal chair is covered in clothes I have to fold. So in February I bought mostly only books by Black authors besides some pre-orders that I had. I think everything else is by a Black author. I'm not totally sure though. So first we're going to start with some of the books I got from Barnes & Noble. I got Two Moons Stories by Crystal A. Smith. I don't fully know what this is about, but I know that one of the stories has her, I believe, like falling in love with the moon, which just sounds amazing to me. Someone was hyping this up a bunch on Twitter, and so I ended up ordering it when I found it. So, and then The Forgotten Girl by India Hill Brown is a middle grade about a girl that I think she like lies on someone else's grave, and then weird spooky stuff starts to happen, and that's kind of all I know about this one. It's pretty short, so I don't want to know too much else, but it sounds really interesting and I've seen some good reviews for it. So, and then I got Falling in Love with Hominids by Nella Hopkinson, which I read in February and was amazing. This is a fantastic short story collection with very original, very weird books. Trigger warning for sexual assault, and I think that would probably be the only trigger warning. There's body horror. We're gonna go with that. And then I bought 3 poetry collections by Danez Smith because Homie by Danez Smith came out at the end of January and I hadn't bought it yet, so I bought it at the very beginning of February to read for Blackathon and also just to read because I love Danez Smith. And as I was buying this, I realized I hadn't actually yet bought a copy of Don't Call Us Dead, which I loved. I really love this poetry collection. Highly recommend it. Also highly recommend Homie. And then I didn't even realize that they had Black Movie out, so I also ended up buying this one. So I bought all 3 of Danez Smith's poetry collections this month, and I've read them all, and I would highly recommend all of them. They're all amazing. Also, all of the covers are amazing. Like, all of these covers are gorgeous. So, highly recommend to Danez Smith. Also highly recommend listening to their spoken word. Very good. And then I made a little order from Harlequin because I've fallen in love with their Carina Press imprint. All of the stuff from there is so good, and if there were actual paperbacks of the Twisted Wishes series by Anna Szabo, I think I would like lose my mind because those books are amazing. They're so good. But I bought 4 books I've never read before. This is one of the authors I'm not sure if she's Black or not, but I was making the order and I had to pay for shipping, so I bought Writing Her In and 3-Part Harmony by Holly Trent. This is these are both female romances, I'm pretty sure, so I'm excited about that. And obviously they're like romance, thanks self. Obviously they're like music themed, so I'm really excited about that. I haven't heard too much about them and I don't know too much, but they've been on my radar for a while, so I finally picked up some physical copies. Next 2 books that have also been on my radar for a while, and I was hoping to try and get to at least the first one in February, although I didn't, but hopefully in March. So I've got American Love Story and American Fairy Tale by Adriana Herrera. I've been hearing about these books forever, since the first one came out, and they sound amazing. They're male romances. I think this one takes place in Ithaca, New York, which is weird because I've been there. I had a friend go to college there. And then I don't know much about this one. This one says New York City, so we'll see. But I've been hearing amazing things about these books and about Adriana Herrera, especially with all the RWA stuff going on. She's been a lot of fun to follow on Twitter, so really looking forward to these. And I don't know why, but for some reason a lot of stuff that Carina Press is coming out with I'm really into right now, so we'll see if that continues. I ordered some books through Better World Books, which is like a used book online store, and for every book you buy they donate a book, which is one of the reasons I love ordering there because I feel slightly less guilty. First, I have the only Alyssa Cole I didn't own until now, which is Can't Escape Love, which is one of her novellas. All of these sound amazing, and I read other stuff by Alyssa Cole and just been blown away, so I'm very excited to get to more. 2 Things by Beverly Jenkins because I've yet to read something by Miss Beverly Jenkins, and she's a very well-known historical romance author. Actually, neither of these are historical, but I have Deadly Sexy by Beverly Jenkins. I was looking up and this one seemed to have pretty solid reviews. It's contemporary, like, I don't want to say like thriller, but more like that kind of style. So this seems like a lot of fun. And then I have Bring On the Blessings by Beverly Jenkins, which is more contemporary and I think more like classical contemporary romance. Not classical. I don't know, like classic contemporary. And I do know, I'm pretty sure that her later series followed the descendants of the characters in her historical series, which is actually really cool. So I'm kind of excited to see if I realize that as I'm reading them, hopefully soon. I have a lot of romance to read though, guys. I always have a lot of romance. And then I bought Hamilton's Battalion by Rose Lerner, Courtney Milan, and Alyssa Cole. This is 3, I think, short stories or novellas, all set during the Revolutionary War. I don't actually know much about any of these stories, but I love Courtney Milan and I love Alyssa Cole, so I was like, I'm just gonna give this a try, and I found it for like $4 or $5, I think, on Better World Books, so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna buy it. And the last thing I bought is a Toni Morrison, because I have yet to read a Toni Morrison, because I don't know if my heart is ready for it. But I bought Song of Solitude. It didn't come with a dust jacket, which is fine. It was only like $3 or $4. And actually, I don't know if you can tell, it's like embossed. You can kind of tell. It's very pretty. I'm really loving this. So, I don't know if this will be my first Toni Morrison or not. I haven't decided yet. I'm not just like emotionally ready. We'll see. I guess I'll do the pre-orders really fast, and then the final thing I'll talk about will be the books I bought from one of my local bookstores, which I love a lot. So I pre-ordered Disfigured on Fairy Tales, Disability, and Making Space by Amanda Ludick. I believe that's how you pronounce her name. This is by Coach House Books, which is a press I had never heard about before, but this sounds really interesting. Obviously you can kind of tell what it's about from the title. And I haven't read anything of it yet, but it's a gorgeous cover and it sounds super interesting, so I'm really excited to get to this one, as I will say about probably all of these books. The next I have Upright Women Wanted by Sarah Gailey. Sarah Gailey wrote the American Hippo duology, I guess it would be called, which I loved. It's amazing if you haven't read it, like killer hippos, and also they ride hippos and there's queer characters and it's just really great. So read everything Sarah Gailey writes is my new thing, and the tagline actually for this book is kind of what sold it for me. It's "Are you a coward or are you a librarian?" which just is great. So I'm really excited about this one. It's very short. This is also one I'm hoping to read in March, but you know, we'll see. And the last thing, which I don't think is technically a pre-order, but it was just put up on the Ripped Bodice website, which is a independent bookstore that is romance focused in LA, and I've never been to it, but I have bought quite a few things from them online because they're amazing and I always want to support them. So I bought 8 Kinky Nights by Zan West, which is a Chanukah romance, a female one. I'm getting like out of breath. I follow them on Twitter and they have amazing book recommendations and even better books if that is possible. I've only read, I think, 2 things from them and they've both been pretty short, but I'm always excited to read more, and this looks amazing. And also just this cover is amazing. Like, anyway, if you don't follow them on Twitter, I will leave a link down below. Check out them and all of their work. Okay, that's it for the... That's just wind. Next, I got some stuff at An Unlikely Story, which is like half an hour away from me probably. I ended up going there twice this month, which I don't normally do, but they were having a cool Valentine's Day thing, which I'll get to in a minute, and then also I just bought a lot of books. Oh wait, I forgot one. Hold on. It's over there. So I forgot a few things, so we're gonna hold off on An Unlikely Story for like 2 seconds. I also got The Worst Best Man by Mia Soso, which came out this month and is a romance about a woman that gets left at the altar and then has to later work with the brother of her ex-fiance who left her at the altar, and also the brother is the one who convinced him to leave her at the altar and you're not sure why, and they have to work together. I haven't read this yet, but it's amazing and everyone is loving it, so I'm super excited about it. I also love this cover. I'm one of the people who's really liking the illustrated covers in romance. I'm not always like, if it's a real picture or something, it has to be done well, which it can be done well, but a lot of the times in romance I feel like the covers aren't great when they're just real people. So I'm really liking this trend. I know some people aren't, and also it's, you know, there's there's stuff to discuss about it, but aesthetically, I really like it. And then also from a local indie Symposium Books in Providence, I bought Hot Comb by Ebony Flowers, which I have not read yet, but looks amazing. And the artwork's pretty like simple, but I really like it. So I'm hoping to get to this in March as well, since I didn't read as much as I wanted to in February, so hopefully I can read a little bit more in March, although I do have a very busy month ahead of me. Okay, now we can get onto the books from An Unlikely Story. I have 6 books and then 1 ARC, because they were doing a special thing on Valentine's Day where if you spent more than $10, I think, more than $20, I don't remember, but if you spent more than a certain amount, you could pick an ARC for free, so I'll save that for last. Well, first we'll start with the one that I finished already, which is Slay by Brittany Morris, which was amazing. I loved this book a whole lot. It was a lot of fun, but also very emotional, and it was very well done. I really enjoyed this, and will definitely be reading more by this author in the future. And then next I picked up a bunch of books that have been floating around recently and that I really want to finally get to. For instance, The Deep by River Solomon with David Diggs, William Hudson, and Jonathan Snipes. I haven't read this yet because I think it's gonna break my heart, but I've also heard it's amazing and an incredible read, so I'm really excited to read it on the other hand, so we'll see. I do want to try and get to this soon because it is getting so much attention right now and it sounds so good, and also it's short enough, it shouldn't take me too long even with the heavier emotional stuff, and I'm probably not going to listen to the audiobook on my first read, which is why I bought a physical copy, but I'll probably reread it through audio at some point because David Diggs does do the audio narration. I listened to like a sample of it and it sounds amazing, so I will definitely be doing that in the future. And then I have My Sister the Serial Killer. I forgot to look up the pronunciation of her name. I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna hold really close. I'm not even gonna try. This is kind of a self-explanatory title. It is about her sister who is a serial killer, and I know a little bit more than that, and it's kind of like a thriller, so I'm not gonna say much more than that even though I haven't read it yet, but and I don't know much more than that, which is how I like to go into it, but I've been hearing amazing things, so I'm excited that An Unlikely Story had it so I could pick it up. Then I also got Riot Baby by Tochi Onibuchi. I believe that's how you pronounce this author's name, and I've also been hearing amazing things about this. Not as many, slightly less things about this, but still amazing things, and it has blurbs by Sarah Gailey and Marlon James and Daniel Jose Older, and I actually don't know almost anything about this plot. I've had it explained to me, well, I've heard someone explain it once or twice, but for some reason it hasn't stuck in my head. Also Marcus Shiro, of course. So I don't know a lot about this, and I know I haven't been actually telling you guys the synopsises of most of these things, but that's just because I kind of like to go into books not fully knowing everything, just like a snappy one-line description or like a few keywords or whatever. And all I really know about this one is that people have been really loving it and it's getting really high reviews from people I follow, so I'm very interested to give it a try. I also have Black Friday by another author's name who... So this is a bunch of short stories, and I don't know super much about it except one of them is about Black Friday, and I don't know really anything other about this book. I've seen people reading it, people seem to really like it, and the last thing I bought at An Unlikely Story is Race to the Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. This is from Rick Riordan's publisher imprint, which I haven't read many books from his imprint yet. I've been really interested to read some stuff by Rebecca Roanhorse, and this is actually a signed copy. So I couldn't resist. I had to end up picking it up. It's also just like a gorgeous cover. I don't know much about this one at all, except that it's middle grade, and I believe the main character is of Navajo descent, so I'm excited to get to this one. Probably not super soon, I'm not sure when, but I'm glad I have a copy now, especially a signed copy, which I will show you. I realized I didn't. And then the ARC I picked was wrapped up like this, so you didn't get to see what it was at first. You just got some keywords. And this one says Black America, Civil Rights, Green Book, which I didn't know what it was when I first picked it up, and actually I don't think I could have guessed it because I only recently, like very recently, heard about this book, but it's called Overground Railroad, The Green Book and the Roots of Black Travel in America by Candace E. Taylor. This came out in January. So yeah, this is about how difficult it was for Black people to be traveling in this time period, and also about a book that came out at one point that helps them travel by listing places that were safe. So Overground Railroad is a very good name for it. And it was called The Green Book, that's why it's subtitled that. I don't know like anything else about this. I don't know when I'll get to it because it is nonfiction and I read that much slower. So even if I started, it will be a while before I finish it. But I do want to read this. It sounds really interesting. But I also might pass it off to some friends first. We'll see. And I believe that is the end of the haul. I don't think I forgot anything. I hope not, because that was a lot of books. So I hope there isn't any more to talk about. I would say I don't normally buy this many books, but that's kind of a lie. I kind of do. But I do feel like I bought more because I did go out to a few bookstores, and it's hard for me to like walk into an independent bookstore and leave without buying something. I just want to support that bookstore. So that's kind of where a lot of these came from. And also I just kept hearing about amazing books, as I do every month, so that's always a problem. Only a few of these were pre-orders because, you know, February isn't a huge book release month by any means, but March we're starting to get quite a few books. The Tuesday that just passed had quite a lot of books come out on it that I've been hearing about. And I think that's it. Please let me know if you've read any of these books in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts, if I should prioritize one or the other. And I will see you next week. Life Before Death, Radiance.